So, have you ever tried to find yourself as the meditator? Have you ever tried to look inwards to see who's looking? I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you probably have. And it's probably been met with a lot of frustration and confusion and just a lack of understanding and clarity. So 6 months ago, I was in my room looking for the meditator, but I was looking like a complete lunatic. I was like staring into the mirror, just looking at myself and just constantly asking the question. When I'm taking a shower, I'm asking the question. When I'm looking in the mirror, I ask the question. When I'm walking down the street, I'm just constantly asking myself the question. And disclaimer, I didn't find the answer that I was looking for. I just kept asking myself and asking myself and asking myself. And then I stumbled upon an analogy that really changed my perspective on what it means to look for the meditator. So the analogy went something like this. When you're thirsty, you don't go ahead and say, "Oh, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty." You kind of just know that you're thirsty and you go towards the water and you have a drink. And in the same way, when you're looking for yourself, you can't just ask your mind, "Oh, who am I? Who am I? Who am I?" Because when you ask your mind, who is it that's going to answer back? It's going to be your mind. And your mind can never have the answers to who you are. Because if your being is beyond your mind, then you won't find the answers where your mind is. So what I ended up doing was I basically just gave up the pursuit in a sense. I stopped looking. And I haven't had these non-dual realizations like some people. And I'm in the process of kind of starting from the bottom again. So starting from the beginning. I've kind of internalized the question of who am I kind of into my being. And now I'm kind of just doing a exploration and really working on my concentration skills. Because previously to this, for like the last year, I was doing open awareness meditation and I wasn't getting any of the benefits that people spoke about in meditation. I was simply just sitting there in open awareness. And I realized this because I hadn't been practicing my concentration skills. And so now I've kind of stopped the inquiry-based meditation and open awareness meditation. And now my focus is purely on just kind of developing that concentration. Because I realized that concentration is kind of fundamentally needed to inquire into the nature of existence. If you can't hold your thoughts or your mind on an object for a prolonged period of time, how would you be able to investigate the nature of that object? And it's the same with your mind. It's the same with finding yourself. Finding yourself is kind of accumulation of insights that actually end up leading to awakening. And I started reading this really, really interesting book called The Mind Illuminated, which is basically like a how to meditate tutorial, how to achieve awakening like guidebook. And it's so well written. It's so buttery smooth to read. And it's really interesting. I think it's a pretty difficult process of letting go of the desire to achieve a certain expectation during meditation. And it really is an ongoing process of just letting go and letting go and letting go. Your mind will have all sorts of expectations and ideas of who you are or what it means to be conscious. And I think it's just about letting those go step by step and step by step. And the process of looking for yourself doesn't have to be this kind of daunting, annoying, almost psychotic process of just constantly asking yourself the questions and just really intensely inquiring. I think it can kind of be a gradual, loving process of just acceptance and letting go. And I think that's kind of the approach I'm taking now. And my experience has just been so much more positive and it's just been more fun overall. And I think there's a lot of spiritual teachers that don't make this distinction. They kind of just tell you to look for yourself, or they tell you to just be, I don't know, tell you to look inwards and say, oh, just look for what's looking. You can find it. You can do it. You can do it. And I understand that there's a way to look inwards that kind of brings a clarity from not finding yourself. However, I think this advice is it's a bit too confusing for beginners at the start. At least I found from my experience, it's been very confusing and a bit disorientating. So I much prefer this kind of relaxed approach of acceptance, concentration. And you don't want to kind of never inquire into these thoughts, but I think that there needs to be a foundation of concentration before you can even carry that exercise out. And I think most spiritual teachers just completely ignore this, and they kind of look at it from the perspective of, oh, I realized it. And they kind of forget that for them to realize it, they were meditating for like 7 years before they actually realized it. So yeah, anyways, that's my take on this whole looking for what's looking thing. I think it can be a very frustrating process, but as long as you just face it with some acceptance and equanimity, I think everything will work out pretty much. But yeah, thanks for watching and take care.